Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are getting started today, and I won't be in front of you that long today. I am going to get you right into the groove of the rebroadcast of my special conversation with the one and only Koereyelle, sorry, so that you can enjoy this broadcast as well. Hopefully, you can see my screen and we can get to going here.
Back to another episode of the Girl Stop Playing podcast. It's your favorite homegirl, Koereyelle, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. You already know that I'm bringing you the information and the conversations to help you make the money and get the honey. You can have it all as long as you are willing to work. And today we got a working woman in the building. We're not even going to be talking about work though. We're going to be talking about wellness and well being. Some really important conversations that are truly meant to move the culture forward. So, pause right here, share this episode, tell a friend to tell a friend to come on in for this conversation. Okay. We got Latanya Taylor on the couch. Are you ready?
I am.
Y'all, let me just tell y'all, okay? We got to get Latanya warmed up because we're late starting this episode. She was outside waiting for me for a very long time, and sis thought I stood her up, okay? So we got to warm her up. We got to get her talking on this couch because this conversation is so, we could not have not had this conversation. I think the moment I met you, I literally turned to you and said, "Oh, I got to get you on the podcast.
Yeah,
like, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
This is such an important topic of conversation that we're about to get into." So I publicly am going to apologize for the tardiness. No, I don't like wasting people's time. So we're publicly going to apologize for the tardiness of this episode, but I'm ready to get into it. So
Okay.
tell the people what you do though, so we can put some respect on your name before we get
Okay.
into this.
I'm Latanya Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Priestess of Purpose, Pleasure, Passion, and Profit. So we can
Ooh.
talk about money
Ooh.
because I don't think that they're disconnected. Our
Okay.
womanhood and our femininity is very much connected to our wealth.
Let's start there. Tell me how.
Well, I work with feminine leaders. At least I intend to work with women who are in leadership, but have maybe forgotten their feminine vision, their feminine soul, their feminine desires, because we have a model from white men on how to do business. And we come into the business world, which is masculine. And
Mhm.
so we run our businesses like men. And then when it's time for us to create, to attract, to embody, it's shut off. It's shut
That's the
down.
feminine part. The
Yeah.
create, attract, embody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we usually hear this conversation in terms of relationships, right? Women need to be more feminine. A masculine man is not going to be attracted to a masculine woman. We are bombarded with this conversation around femininity. How, like, what is step one for a woman who watches this and she's like, yo, I am so tired of y'all telling me that I need to be softer. I need to be this. I need to be that. How do I just start? I'm 35. How do I just become a feminine
You
woman?
know what? I think that it's become a trending topic.
Mm-hmm.
It was not trending when I started doing this work.
Mhm.
Your generation is now taking it and talking about the soft life and I want a soft life. I want a soft life. And now men are jumping on board, telling women how to be feminine, which is no different than. Can I be honest here? Like,
Of
can
course.
can we be no holds
Real.
barred? Okay, good. Because we've also had been conditioned through the church and through religion with men telling us how a woman is supposed to be. So it's no different than the Proverbs 31, the woman and the virtuous woman and this and that. Now people are jumping on a bandwagon. So where do you start? You start with your desire. A woman must start with her desire. Let me say that again. Her desire. Because femininity has many faces. There are many faces of the goddess. There are many faces of feminine energy. And all of it is not soft. Some of it is fierce. We have warrior models. We have marketplace women. We have medicine women. So you have to start with your desire, because the question that I would ask a woman, particularly a woman in leadership, is whose life are you living? Whose children are you raising? And whose man or partner are you?
That part. I think the emphasis when you said her desires,
Mm-hmm.
I interpreted that the emphasis on the her because so many women are doing things, making decisions based on somebody else's desires. And
Absolutely.
we don't even realize it
Yeah.
because, if your mom has put something in your head since you were a little girl that was her desire for your life,
Right.
and then you grow up and you evolve and you mature into this grown ass woman
Right.
who has this desire, it ain't even your desire. You don't even know where this came from.
Right.
You've just been repeating
Right.
what was, pretty much put on you by someone else, and you don't even realize that this is why you're not fulfilled.
Right. Remember, where we started was talking about the mother wound.
Exact. Oh, it's in caps on my card. We're gonna get around to that.
So
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
funny you mentioned mother, because once you start getting clear that about whose life you're living, who are you making love to? Are you making love to the idea in your head? Are you making love to who you really want to make love to? That's why I do the work of Juicy, because Juicy is not just about being orgasmic. It's not just about being sensual. Juicy is about unveiling the intimacy in you. Intimacy means into me I see, right? So we look at intimacy as something we share with somebody else first, but intimacy is something that we must have for ourselves. So yeah, when it comes to our mothers, I don't know. Can we be honest? Like, I think that a lot of millennials are very disconnected from from my generation of mothers.
So, do you not think that your generation was disconnected from your mother's?
I think to a degree.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked that question, because I love having the generational conversation. Because on Fix My Life, which is, I didn't mention, but that's where you've seen my work,
Mm-hmm.
on the several seasons, some of the best
Yes.
best shows. We did a generational show,
Mm-hmm.
and what I learned is that it was baby boomers who actually raised millennials.
The
Only a
grandmothers.
few Gen Xers actually raise millennials.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a disconnect, though, between a lot of millennial women and my generation.
Why? Why do you think that is?
I think that we were rebellious. Gen X, we were doing our thing, right? We had to survive. We were latchkey kids. We had to figure it out. And we did not have parents who took responsibility for the shit that they caused and the domino effect, right? And so you have people who are my age who are just now talking out loud about the issues that they internalize, whereas your generation came out the gate talking
Yelling,
about it.
screaming.
Yeah, like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for me. Or just not talking to us at all. I have a niece that I supported and raised, and she's just different from me, right? Like, there's certain things that she just wasn't going to do going into her womanhood. Like, she wasn't taking the last name of her
Really?
husband. She didn't want to do her wedding the same way weddings have been done. She was very clear. She's not having children. Like, there are more millennials who are childless by choice without the guilt and the shame. Whereas I would say my generation still grapple with, I should.
I'm supposed to. This
I'm
is expected of
supposed to
me.
do this, but
Mhm.
I don't really want to do it. And so you have a lot more women in my generation that have the good girl complex, but inside was something else,
Mhm.
right? So they snuck around and did it. And I always tell women who are mothering younger women, particularly Gen Zs now, and why, don't give them your representative. Give them who you really are. Give them your story. Don't bring your representative. And that's a new thing, I think, for
Mhm.
many of our
A
generation.
1,000% it's a new thing because if I think back to my grandmother and just how much I don't even know about her.
Mhm.
And not only do I not know these things because I'm the granddaughter, there are so many things that the entire family didn't, even her daughters didn't know because everything was done in secrecy.
Yep.
And then if you ask questions about it, you're in trouble.
Yep.
You know, it's like we don't ask about it, don't ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't
Don't
tell.
ask, don't tell. And so
Mm.
you grow up, and my grandmother passed last year, but I was the cousin that would go sit with her, and it's like, I want to know about your
Yes.
childhood.
Me too.
What was your mama name? You know, like it's
Yes.
just things that
Oh my God.
we don't know. And
That
think about the
so
disturbance
good.
though. Now that this whole like generation is invisible now. I can't even pass on your story because you didn't share it with me.
I know, but we gotta. I want to do more with that.
Got to.
I really want to be a catalyst for women to be able to sit in rooms together and share stories as a way of getting to know each other, and not just our IG page.
Right. That part. Yeah.
Right? Because you were in the same room that I was in, and you heard every woman say almost the exact same thing about being able to be in a room with women.
Yep.
What is that about that we have gotten to the point where women say, I don't trust being with women, but I lead a woman organization.
Me.
You?
Me. Myself, Koereyelle, has been doing women empowerment work for over a decade. When I do the self work and really, really think about like what got me into this, like what moves me to do these things, I have always been in the women empowerment space because I was never empowered by other women, starting with my mother, then my sister. And so I know that because of the deficit, because I had to empower myself, and then I saw the result of me empowering myself, that's what, you know, encouraged me to go out and create these organizations to empower other women. But a lot of women, I think, who are leading these organizations or who are in these spaces, we started these groups out of a necessity for ourselves because the root, you know, the relationship that we have with the woman who's supposed to be closest to us was damaged. And in that room, so many women talked about not having a safe space, not having other women that they could trust and count on and share with, and having mommy issues. And I think that it's so unfortunate that so many Black women have the same story when it comes to our upbringing.
That's a wounded healer, right? And it's also why oftentimes when we're in entrepreneurial rooms, we don't partner and we don't collaborate the way, if we're gonna play full out and do the European version, the Western white man's version of business. When you go in Subway, you're subject to see a Baskin and Robbins, right? When you go in Taco Bell, what do you see? What you see collaboration, you see partnership, right? But we think that we have to do it all by ourselves, or that woman is competition. We are light years behind on ways to do business, right? And so that is toxic, and our money is toxic. And that is why it's easy for so many women to be burnt out, because now you have to pretend. Now you become a prisoner to your brand. Right. And so what is that? Because I love the example that you gave. You said your mother and your sister. And so I think the saving grace for me was I had a sister who was my soft place to fall. I had a sister who was my angel, my rescue. And so I could not imagine going against women the way that I see us do to one another, because I had my sister who was, which is how it really is supposed to be. Like, you know, in love and relationships, you know, polyamory is also becoming popular and trendy, because we have this model of it's supposed to be one person. So now you have a woman, like you just had a baby, right? So now you have women who are having babies, and your baby is only knows one pair of arms, right? That model is distorted and it's pathological for the woman, because we are tribal people, and our children are supposed to be able to be passed from arm to arm, grandmama, auntie, and play mama, play cousin, so that mama can get a break. Mama can take care of herself. But we don't have a model, so we got to mind. It's my business. It's my baby. It's my man. Right? So everything has to be possessed from a deficit, from a lack consciousness, not from an abundance. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's supposed to share their man. That
I'm about to say that. Now that's where I draw the line. We keep my baby, but the baby daddy is not staying with me.
But let's keep it real though. How many people are man sharing anyway?
Big facts.
How
Polly and don't even know it. Didn't even sign up for
some of
that.
them do though,
Hmm.
right? How many women are settling? They're the side chick,
Hmm.
right? The jump off,
For what they can get instead of waiting for what they want. It
right?
happens every day.
Especially in ATL, honey.
Especially in the ATL. Why,
And
Lord
DC,
Jesus?
let's not leave out
What?
DC,
Oh, the
honey.
blackest cities. Okay,
Okay,
can we
yeah,
get it
let's just
together?
say,
Let's
yeah.
just get it
Don't get
together.
mad. Don't come for me,
So
because I lived in these cities
they
and
not
I
gonna.
know something about this.
Right. This is, you can say what you want to say, but the streets speak for themselves.
Right, right, right.
So you mentioned working on Fix My Life.
Hmm.
With the, is Ayala nice in real life?
Yeah, and I don't like that. So that's what TV does, right?
Yeah, it does a
So
disservice
it's
because you
sound
only
bites.
see this what the people want you to see, basically.
But she absolutely is a stern figure in your life. But when I tell you, so giving, so accommodating, so sensitive, and so that image is created by TV through sound bites.
Mm,
But you
that's
will in
unfortunate.
her presence, and I mean, I am an extension of that. In her presence, you're going to feel the presence of power, right? You're going to be seen, and a lot of us are not used to somebody not just seeing us but seeing into us.
Mm.
So that was a valid question, particularly because there's a lot of millennials who can't stand her. Let's
She
keep
it's
it
it's
real.
grandmother vibes though. It's like I'm gonna be strict with you because I want the best for you. I'm not
Hmm.
about to play with you and you're not
Yeah,
about to play with me, but I
yeah,
love you and I want the best for you and
yeah,
I want it to work out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I brought her up because I think a lot of well you mentioned her. I think a lot of times when Ayala's name comes up, Kevin Samuel's name comes up as well
Hmm.
because people had a, and I want to find out from you like your take on Kevin Samuel's not necessarily his content but his theories, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily what it was wrapped up in, but the
Hmm.
content of his message. Because for the Black community, Ayala for a long time was the only person that was giving us the tough love. It's like, I'm not
Hmm.
going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. This is what it is. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Hmm.
Kevin Samuels came along and he added a lot of curse words and some shenanigans into the conversation. But he was the first that I can think of, the first man that was in that space. And so
Hmm.
she to me represents like the grandmother again. Like, I want what's best for you. No shade. Don't be offended by that. I'm sorry. But I want what's best for you.
Auntie
The
is what she's
auntie.
called in the
Okay.
culture,
Okay.
is
I'm sorry.
auntie.
I'm sorry. That was
But she is
offensive.
a grandma
That
and
was
a great
offensive.
grandma, and she would own it.
Don't be mad,
Hell,
Ayala.
I don't know. Y'all might think I'm a grandma. Shit, I
Auntie.
don't.
Auntie. Okay. But his whole thing was like, you don't like how I'm saying it, but if you just listen to what I'm saying, you would appreciate it. So I want to know from you, what was your take on like his message, and do you see any similarity? Because you obviously work very close with Ayala, so you have more of a realistic understanding of who she is versus just who we see on TV.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been with her for over 20 years. She's pivotal in the transitions in my life. So yes, I have seen it in my life first. Not a fan, like, so there's a lot of fangirls. So
Mm-hmm,
that's, and
mm-hmm.
I'm not a Neon
Not that,
fan, no.
right?
And I will say I regret that I caught up to Kevin Samuels closer to his death.
Mm.
I usually have an aversion to men telling women what to do.
Okay.
Period. And it's because it's too much of that.
Okay.
And I do think that there are other voices in the culture. Iyanla just happens to be one that's highlighted. I do think there have been other voices, but Kevin Samuels um, didn't lie. We didn't like his delivery, but many of us didn't grow up in households with our fathers either. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it is to be corrected by a man, told the truth by a man, uh, called on our BS by a man. All of our fathers and uncles are not loving. Some of them are from the streets and they're gangsters. They call you out. Some of them are from a school of hard knocks. They just give it to you straight. If you happen to have a father that was able to stroke you and to affirm you, and that's beautiful. But all men are not like that. Even when we get married, um, you know, as a woman, sometimes I think my husband is harsh. And I'm like, damn, why you have to say it like that? but I had to work on how I receive, which takes you back to the feminine, right? So we say we want these things, but then when the truth comes, we don't like how it comes to us. So yeah, was some of his stuff antics, and sure, absolutely over time. But when you go back and listen to that brother and some of the women who came on and what they presented,
You can't even defend these ladies.
you cannot defend the BS.
You can't defend it, and I want to challenge y'all, and because I think because it was wrapped up in the sound effects and the all of those things, and he really was like entertaining and putting on a show. Like there was a lot of razzle dazzle he threw on top that wasn't necessarily necessary. I think that turned a lot of people off, and I also think a hit dog will holler. And if you are tuned in and he is talking about you, you probably didn't want to hear that. But if you go back now and take the emotion out of it and like don't put your personal feelings into it, I really believe he wanted what was best for the Black community.
I absolutely believe it. There are a few shows where he was calling out women who had left their husbands. And you know what? I do deal with women who get to the point where we are so masculine in the way that we move in the marketplace. You had said earlier about the mask, every woman in a masculine man, something like that. But the truth of the matter is, every woman is not beta or alpha, nor is every man. So masculinity and femininity is energy. It's not gender.
Gotcha. It's what you're operating in.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so when you study tantric lovemaking and orgasmic kung fu orgasmic embodiment, or sexual tai chi, like any of those things.
Oh, is that the juicy?
Yes, some of it is.
Okay.
What you're doing is you're playing with masculine and feminine energy. So when one breathes, another one exhales. That's how our relationships really are, right? So like, to even be orgasmic, there's a way that we have to be able to tap into ourselves, that the man finds his yin in orgasmic exchange, and the woman finds her yang or yang.
Interesting. Okay, so let's wrap up the mama conversation before we get into the sex talk. Because for a lot of people who have not experienced therapy on their own, or personally, watching Iyanla might have been the closest thing that we saw to true therapy, in terms of you recognizing, getting that awareness, recognizing your stuff, owning your stuff, figuring out a solution, which is what therapy is supposed to be, right? And I definitely saw a lot of episodes that were rooted in childhood stuff. When you're doing your work with women one-on-one, are you noticing that the majority of the challenges that women are having are rooted in childhood
Almost
stuff?
all of them. Almost 90%, 85 maybe.
So what is the work that we should be doing? Like, even if you don't have a therapist, what is the work that needs to be done, knowing that there's a 95% chance that you're still dealing with some childhood issues?
It depends on your story. Your life is always giving you feedback. Your life is always giving you feedback. And so if you want to know what's going on, look at what's happening in your life. It could be money. Your money has a story. And most of the times we have not ever dealt with our money story. Your relationships with the opposite sex, male, female, female, male. Either way, look at that. Or same sex, because when we start talking about women in rooms with other women, that's a mama issue. That's a self issue. Because when you say I can't be I can't trust women, you don't trust your damn self. You don't trust yourself with women because you could not trust a little girl once upon a time somewhere with a woman. There was a woman who traumatized you. And it's important to say this for the culture. Very important. Our culture, no matter the generation, does not give Black women permission to say, I was failed by my mother. Because we see so many women sacrifice for us. We see what our mothers have gone through to get us to the other side. And so now You have people in your own family who will say, don't say that about your mom. She did the best she could. And then we say it, we take it on. She did the best she could. I don't blame my mother. That's usually the second thing. And that's when you know that you have not done any work. And what that does is it becomes suppressed and oppressed. It's cool though to talk about daddy, the daddy
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't there. Oh, it's cool to put it all on at his feet. But then we don't know what the interpersonal relationship was between mom and daddy. Now there are stories that are coming out where people are finding out that their father was removed from their life because of the wound of the woman. So how do you not deal with this? We're just going to keep excusing it. So black women are off limits. So what I think when we talk about Iyanla is she was the only black woman willing to call black women on their
Mm.
shit. Otherwise, it was that we placate it. We want to stroke it. We want to preach it away. We want to run to the altar. We want to put it on somebody else, right? Or we want to go to all the way to the other extreme. We're love and light. No, we're not going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sweeping it
and
under the
where is
rug.
that?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what the difference is that this was another black woman calling black women on. There are many black women who work with women and have worked with women before Yanla. In the midst, and Yanla has a whole institute of coaches just like me.
Mm-hmm.
So there are women who are doing just like
They're
you.
out. We're out here. We just don't. Nobody want to hear that. Nobody want to hear that.
That's what it
We
is.
are used to being taught that we're the prize, that they just need to be happy to have you, that they take what you know, like they take you as you are type of thing. And it's like, well, if who you are needs to be fixed up a little bit, nobody should just have to deal with your mess just because this is what you're presenting to
That's what
them.
we bring though,
That's what we
because we
bring.
want our
Unapologetically too.
right. We want our lovers, our partners to now father us,
Mm-hmm.
because then when we get vulnerable and we allow someone to see us, we say, but you should you should help me. Oh, but I expect you should tell me. But he hadn't been told.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know. And a lot of times, look, when we talk about the mama issue, right? We're talking about it here in terms of women, but there are so many men who have mother issues and they're trying to find themselves in the legs of a woman
Yep.
and another woman's yoni. They're
Yep.
looking for mama. They're looking for nurture through the legs of another woman.
And we are so emotional about these things that we never tap into our logical to say, how can we start healing? Whether
Mm-hmm.
that's healing through having these conversations, healing through figuring out like your own childhood story that
Right.
is now carrying over into, you know, your experience as an adult. And I am always, I guess, I find comfort in knowing that it ain't just me. Like it ain't just
Oh
me and my
God.
mama. Even me, I have, you know, a couple of, actually, if I really think about it, I probably don't have one, maybe I have one friend that had a healthy relationship with her mother. I'll say that. A
Really?
healthy relationship with her mother. In my experience, it's always like butting heads when it comes to and I don't know if this is a black woman thing. I don't really know too many white women, so I'm gonna just say that I don't know, but it always seems like there's that head butting, like there's a competition between, you know, mother and daughter. And you know, I mentioned, you know, briefly with me and my mom, me and my sister. I have two boys, and me and my husband have talked about, you know, are we done having kids? Are we gonna have one more? Do we want to try for a girl? And although I am not like, I gotta have a daughter, I
Mhm.
really, something in me says that I have to have a daughter to break that chain,
Mm.
to repair the mother-daughter relationship. Because
Maybe.
I think it's a familial thing. It's a generational thing. It's not just me and my mama.
No,
It
I
was her and
think
her mama too.
it's familial.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about, you know, millennials and Gen X, and then there's baby boomers who um, did not take responsibility for a lot of these things, and then there's the silent generation, right? They did not talk about those things.
Mm-hmm.
So the story stopped really with the silent generation because they didn't tell what their traumas were, and then baby boomers covered it over by trying to climb the corporate ladder, or to, keep you from having to climb the corporate ladder. And then X's the same. But I don't know. I see that differently. I see it as both. And yes, you could break the generational pattern by having a girl. You will be putting yourself in an initiation, a rites of passage process, or you can commit. More women could commit to seeing young women as your daughters, as your
Mm,
nieces. I think that millennials are much more disconnected because of technology. They did not grow up playing with their cousins the way that we did. We played with our cousins. We looked out. Your cousin was your sibling. Your neighbor was your was
mhm,
like everybody. We had a relationship, but when you have a relationship with technology, right? There's something that cuts off, and you're numb from seeing the tribe. I am responsible for that young woman who I'm in proximity to.
mhm.
That
Even if we're
is my
not related,
niece,
this
even if
the
we're not
village
related.
mindset.
That's right.
Mm.
Absolutely, the village mindset. I have to stop myself sometimes in the store when I see other people's children, because I know that these children now will fight you.
Right, and they mama will turn around and fight you too when they kid was doing wrong. It's a whole new world out here.
It's a
But
whole
I've
new-
been talking about this village concept because it's not like we've heard, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to do life.
It takes a
It takes a
village to do
village to
life.
have a successful business. It
Yep.
takes a village to have a healthy marriage. It takes a village for you to have yourself together,
Yep.
because at the end of the day, I need somebody to lighten the load. I need somebody I can delegate to. I need
Yep.
somebody who can pick up where I left off. And to your point, we've put ourselves in solitary confinement. It's just
Yeah.
us and our phone.
It's us and our phone. And you know what? I want to say this too. Mother is more than just your mother as well, right? When I work with women, mother and father, they are symbolic
Mm-hmm.
of other levels of your own spiritual journey.
Gotcha.
They represent many more things. And so when I take a woman on a journey, we're going to the door of mother and then beyond the door of mother. Oh my God, when I tell you I found myself at my own altar praying when I had been rejected in sister circles, pastoral circles, because I am ordained as well, and so I was hanging out with ministers, but I wasn't. I'm different because I'm metaphysical. I'm eclectic, right? I'm free. I'm not bound by anybody's system. I got free from systems because I also was in the Nation of Islam many years.
Girl, I got it. You got so much, Lord Jesus. That wasn't even on my list. Okay.
I
Wow.
mean, it's not
You
in
have
my
lived
bio.
lives.
It was right. I literally started. Some people are many are called, but few are chosen. So I
Wow.
answered the call. So I started when I was very young, giving my life to religion. So I know religion, what it takes to not be addicted to religion.
Mhm.
I got married when I was young. I was 19 years old when I got married. I had businesses as a young woman when I got married. Um, so when I talk this, I'm not talking it from no hoity-toity airy place. I'm talking about the journeys of of what it took for me to become the butterfly, what it took for me to become juicy, right? And so when we look at mother, we just stop at our mother, right? But I had to pray when I felt the pain of rejection, because I had to ask myself, why do you care so much about being accepted by these women? Why does it cause you so much pain? And initially, I hovered around the women and what they were doing and what I had given to them, and reciprocity, because we love that word too, right? Relational reciprocity. But it wasn't that. And and this is why ancestral work is so powerful. At my altar, I found these answers. It
Mhm.
was it was at my altar that my ancestors showed me in my prayers. It's because you're still trying to prove to your mother to see me that you valid. So guess what? We take that and we go from one circle to the next, really seeking that. And so
Mhm.
I cried those tears. But when I got the answer, sis, oh my God, it was a game changer. I got comfortable in my business. That's why I say it's not disconnected. I got comfortable not having to promote my business the way other people did, and would be full. My programs would be full when I got comfortable. But I
Mhm.
wasn't out here hoeing myself on the internet,
Come on.
right? And I got comfortable, and then my clientele started to change. I wasn't attracting women with broke mindsets and broken hearts. Don't pay. Come on now, you know about clients who
Yes,
won't
ma'am, I
come in and
do.
don't pay. I stopped attracting that. And then my clients started to call me the same thing that my friends would call me, Mama Latanya. I couldn't even embrace Mama Latanya when they would call me Mama Latanya, because I had not embraced that because of that wound. And now I'm an initiated priestess, and do they call me? Mama. Iya. So our journeys, our steps are ordered. Our steps really are, even the pain body that we walk in and avoid, we'll just stay in remedial learning. We'll just keep on doing it.
Do you have children of your own?
No, and that's what I was going to say too. That's why Mama was a challenge for me, because I wanted children initially. And I've done plant medicine journeys, other initiations, where I have had experiences where the great mother, the divine mother, showed me that in past lives I had already mastered Mama.
You've done
I
that.
did not come here this time to have physical children. I came to mother other women like you with stories. I came to mother other women who felt motherless. And so my clients have testimonies of being able to be available to their girls, their children, who when their girls are coming on their cycles now, they have ceremonial experiences, and not tell them, don't come in my house and don't bring no babies up in my house. You better keep your legs closed. How many of y'all heard that?
And that's all we heard.
And that's
there was
all
no
we
other
heard.
part of the story. That's it.
Right.
And then we wonder why we can't have successful relationships.
And we wonder why what's also not talked about is the infertility rates amongst Black women.
What do you think is causing that?
I think it is mind-body connection, and those messages of shame and guilt, and also expenses. There are millennials who say that the children are too expensive. Straight up like that.
When you mentioned at the beginning, the millennials are like the first real generation that are like, no, I ain't have no kids, and what you gonna say about it? I've always known that I wanted kids. It ain't never been a thought. I knew I wanted kids, right? I didn't judge people who said that they didn't want kids, but I never understood it. I never understood it. How could you not want kids? But baby, now that I had these kids, I just feel like I have a whole new understanding of you making a conscious choice that this is not what you want your life to look like. And I don't think that we as a society have given women the grace to be able to do that. Because to your point, it's like, if you don't have kids, what's wrong with you? Or why would you not want to? Ooh. Or there are women who that it wasn't meant for them.
Right.
So how do how does that make someone feel if you're like, well, your life is meaningless if you're not a mother? And it's like, well, no, I've done that. I've mastered that. I'm here to experience something new.
It took me a long time though to get here.
I can imagine.
Me a lot of processes.
I can imagine.
It took me a lot of herbs, a lot of detoxing, a lot of stuff that I thought I needed to fix within me so that I could get pregnant, because I have the mothering energy and mothering spirit. And what would happen is I'd mother everything around me, right? And then, so when it didn't happen initially, I felt some kind of way about it. And in my book, I actually talk about that being a pathway into my femininity, because I was ordained as a metaphysician long before I came into more of this feminine art technology. And I didn't do it with us. I did it in the company of 250 women from all around the world. And I didn't do it with us because most of us, we want to do the work through pain, not through pleasure. And so I learned through 250 women who did not look like me, a neutralizing force of womanhood that got me to have some of these conversations. And it was a beautiful thing for me. And it was in that moment that I said, I gotta do this for us. We gotta know pleasure. But now we take it to another level, man. We
go balls to the walls. Yeah, they be doing a little too much. We gotta reel it in.
Everybody want to be sexually free on the internet.
Liberated. Yeah, liberated right here on Instagram.
But it's such a sacred art that it should be done in sacred containers, right? because when you go into that type of work, you're going into the core of issues like childlessness, infertility, loneliness, divorce. All of that stuff is big for us as well.
You really are multifaceted. You even said the Nation of Islam.
Yeah,
You're ordained. You're a priestess.
yeah.
How? So, okay, this is a
Mhm.
conversation I've had several times because like you said, I'm just different. Like I believe in this, I do this, but I'm different. I feel like I think it's probably a millennial thing too. Don't judge me. But I feel like, I can't say I grew up in the church like I wasn't going every, but I
Mhm.
was going sometimes.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I'm familiar, right?
Right.
As I had my own experiences and my own journey, I started to do my own research and learn new things, and
Yeah.
I still consider myself to be very spiritual in that I know my relationship with God. I'm
Yeah.
still working on my consistency in my practice.
Hmm.
I need me an altar, so we're gonna have to talk off
Okay,
off
yeah,
camera.
girl,
So
I got
I'm
you.
dibbling
I
and dabbling,
got you.
right?
Hmm.
But I have not been consistent. But I feel like I am judged a lot of times from the church girls
Mm.
because the way that I speak about God, I'm not necessarily quoting a Bible verse.
Right, right,
I'm not
right.
necessarily tying it to scripture. I'm
Right.
not necessarily going to the church house on
Right.
Sunday morning
Right, right, right.
or speaking in tongues. But
Hmm.
I know my relationship with God, and it's very hard for me, if I'm doing a speaking engagement or anything, to not mention God. It's just hard for me not to do it.
Hmm.
But because I don't do it in the way that they think that I should do it, I am, judged a lot of times for that. And so I can only imagine if you come to the table, you might be talking about God, but you might be talking about the ancestor.
I might.
You might be talking about any of it.
I
So
might be talking about chakras, honey.
how are
I
you?
might be talking about colors.
Because it's
I
all
might be
part of
talking
it,
about
right?
aromatherapy because it's all
You just
there.
said something about
Wait
tantric.
a minute, honey. What's that song? Who is it? I might say the name wrong. It's all there. What's that song? You know that hip hop song.
What is it?
It's all there.
It's all a part of it.
It's all there.
Yes.
It's all a part of it. You can see it all in scripture. But see, we just regurgitate what we've been heard, what we've heard, what
So
we've
your
been
mama
taught.
said it was
But
bad, so
baby,
it
I've
must be
been taught how
bad.
to exegete the text.
Come on.
Okay. So I know how to go in and study and divide the word. But not just the word in a Bible, right? I know how to read Quran. I go to the dictionary. I know law. I know spiritual law. I know when ministers are reading the books that they won't tell y'all they reading because they go and teach about it, but they won't tell y'all about it. They won't tell you the authors.
That part.
So I mean, really, it's just freedom. It's just spiritual freedom, right? It's really just when the word says who the son sets free is free indeed. What are we trying to put? It's men who try to put other people in bondage. Humans put people in bondage. And when you know that level of freedom, you become spiritually multilingual, right? We want to go to school and take Spanish or some other language, but then we're not
But
diversified
if
in
you do
our.
yoga, you going to hell.
Oh, listen, what is going on? It's a whole thing going on
and
with
it's
that.
to the point where it's so divisive. That's what I think
It
about
is
religion. I think religion is just
divisive.
it just divide. I'm right, you're wrong. That's what religion is to me. If you don't do what I say the way that I say you should do it, you're going to hell.
I don't do religion like that. That is not what I do.
That is one thing I do. You gotta appreciate that about the millennials, because we're
I
not
love it.
subscribing to that.
Oh,
We're gonna
I absolutely
we're gonna
love it.
write our own stories. We're gonna do it in our own way, and we're not gonna live in that box you try to put us in.
That's right. Listen, if I had some of the gall of millennials, I wouldn't have spent all those years.
I think you do though.
What kind
But you've evolved. You're saying you've evolved into this.
I mean, yeah.
So another theory that I have, an unpopular opinion about the church, is that the black church is keeping black women single.
I think the black church is also keeping us poor too.
Broke. That part. How can we shake loose? Or do you think
I think it's by design, and that'll probably be another conversation.
It is by design.
Yeah,
but do you think in our lifetime we're going to realize that? In mass, not just one or two here.
I think we're in that season right now. We're in a season right now where we're in a second eclipse in less than 30 days. We're in a Mercury retrograde right now. We're in an Aquarian age where Aquarian just shifted signs, and so this is where the people wake up. And so what we see, the forces that we see, the nefarious energies that keep on coming at the culture, is to keep us distracted and scattered, because there is a mass awakening and questioning happening. And so when in order to keep people distracted, you got to turn it up. You got to keep them in survival mode, keep them injected with things.
The day has come. The day you went to smell your chili and smell chili. Yes, this is the day that we have arrived. Celebrate all day, all night.
I hope you all are enjoying and that you will join us for the ReMother's Day special session that's free
on YouTube. Okay, we'll just keep it there.
I didn't
Okay,
say
you ain't
nothing
say
else.
nothing, but I picked up what you was
I'm
putting down.
I'm talking about even now in your food. I mean, listen. So, I mean, I've lived abroad too, right?
Where'd you live?
In Costa Rica.
Okay.
Do you know, like, the things that we eat are
they're like
not
illegal.
They're illegal, not even allowed. The weight that we gain and carry, I didn't even have to worry about food. I could eat white bread and drink coffee in Costa Rica. Anyway, I digress. But the point we were talking about is freedom. And once you know freedom and you know law, not just laws to be so spiritual and talk about law of attraction. The law of attraction is a part of a whole universal law system. And when you know that, all religions were built off of universal law. And when you understand universal law, you get to choose how you demonstrate it, which is what religion is supposed to be, the path you choose of expressing universal law.
Well, we sure got off that path, didn't we? Because that is not what religion is now.
Right.
At all.
Well, there's a history. Right. Most of us don't know the history. We inherit, just like we do our wounds and these secrets. We inherit, and then we become gatekeepers who protect these things without any study, without any challenge. Because anything I can't question.
That part. I can't even ask why. It's just because the Lord's will be done. No, right. There has to be something beyond that.
That is slavery.
Anything that you cannot question, you need to question.
Anything you cannot question. And if you're not satisfied with the answer, you should be able to do your own personal investigation of the truth.
Without the threat of you going to hell.
Without the threat of you going to hell or getting put out of somebody's house. Mm-hmm. Or that you are demonic. Or that you are going against the will of God.
So I gotta get your phone number. Like
y'all say that.
I don't.
All of y'all said that in that room that
not
day.
Me. Did I hit you? What I say? I'm gonna get you on the podcast.
Well, you did say that.
Thank you.
You know, you executive women, y'all say y'all want to do this work.
Let me tell you why, though. Let me tell you why. When I tell you, like, there are people on the internet who talk about their relationships and they try to act like they're all perfect for the people or whatever. When I tell you, I really, 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 like, I love his dirty draws. Like, he the homie, right?
Yes.
God really gave me my person.
Yes.
And I get confirmation in so many ways. But one of the ways is that we're crazy together in this area. So we're very non-traditional. I won't say crazy. We're very non-traditional, unorthodox in our thinking, right?
Free.
We are both free to the point where someone connected me with a woman who does Reiki.
Yeah,
right.
Good.
So I went and I did Reiki. As soon as I did it, I'm like, oh my God, this was crazy. You got to do it. I scheduled his session. He came. And then the next time I saw the lady, I was like, you met my husband. And she was just like, it is so rare that I have a couple that are on the same frequency with this type of thing. Like, you don't know how many wives will sneak to come see me and won't even share. They can't even go home and talk to their husbands about this experience because their husbands think they're crazy.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, but you're not equally, that's equally yoked, right? It's like we're going in the same direction.
Absolutely.
We're traveling on the same path. So I want to find out about your husband, though.
Yeah.
Because you have lived many lives, right? But y'all have lived this life alongside of one another.
Yep.
How has he evolved as you have evolved?
My husband is an OG, okay? Like, yes, I blush when I talk about him. Because a well-loved woman shows up differently in the world.
That part.
And, we often talk about, like, I do astrology in my work, right? And I'm a manifesting generator, which means
Me
I
too.
see, see, we speak the
That's
same
yep,
language.
yep.
And so that means that we're supposed to do multiple things. We're multi-purpose, multifaceted, right? My husband is a manifester, which means that when he focuses on something, he's focused on that. I get the benefit of that too.
Mm.
And he is free. I knew my husband when we first met. The first night I knew who he was. I knew he was a man who had done his work. And he knew me in the spirit. And literally it was like we were inseparable from that point. And we challenge each other big time. Like when you are soulmates, you also have those challenges. Like you got to go to the deep parts, and it's not always easy, and it's not always pretty.
Nope.
And I don't always like him, and he doesn't always like me, but we love each other, and we are on a journey that commits us to one another. So like even sometimes when I am red hot angry, I can hear the voice of God in him
Mm.
calling me forward. Like, I can hear the universal laws and the universal principles in him. That man can put his hands on me and I will go to sleep, like, because he has the embodiment of a mother's love.
Mm.
So even the parts of me that may not have gotten nurtured, my mother's hardcore, right? She's one of those old school hardcore ones. But I know, like, I can feel his love coming through his hands, right?
Mm.
I don't always like how, he presents sometimes, but it is so beautiful to have, like you said, a homie, like, to walk together. When we went to Costa Rica, it was just me and him.
How long did you live there?
Almost 2 years, 2 years and some change, really. And boy, that's why when the little thing
The
came where
panini.
yeah,
Mhm.
that thing, we didn't have any problem being able to shut down together. A lot of people's relationships could not endure that kind of time
Mhm.
together.
It's like, oh, this is who you really are, huh?
Hmm.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so it's good to have that kind of
Home.
protection,
To have home.
to have home.
Yeah.
And I have a man who is, I know how to fall into my softness more with him, and if I don't, he knows how to check it,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that.
Right. Yes, yes. Okay, so the clock is. Can you
Okay.
come back?
Yeah, you for real?
Did I lie this
Okay, no,
time?
okay, no.
Because I don't like when I'm like, is this a Hollywood invitation? Are you just saying it because it's
Atlanta is
polite,
Black
or
Hollywood.
are you? Am I really gonna hear from you? That's why I make sure I followed up, because I'm like, this ain't that.
Yeah, right.
And truly, all jokes aside, the conversation around the mother wounds
Mm-hmm.
is so necessary. It is
Yeah.
so necessary. It's so necessary. So, are you taking new clients?
Oh yeah, I'm taking new clients.
Tell the people what kind of work you do, because we done had a whole lot of conversation. We are gonna bring her back because we got to get into. I feel like we need to talk about the juicy though.
Yeah, we got to
talk about juicy. Okay, so tell us about juicy, and then you can tell the people
This
how
is
they can connect
my
with you.
signature work and program.
Okay.
It is through pleasure. I found my feminine through sacred process and pleasure, and I wrote about it.
Okay.
And I captured some of the stories of women who had gone through the rites of passage process. I think that the quickest way to sum me up is that I am a spiritual midwife, or a midwife in everything that I do. Coaching is just, it's one umbrella, and I think it's used far too loosely. But to do the soul surgery work, I take women on feminine soul retrieval journeys in their love, sex, and money. That is what I do.
Well, we want all of that. We want some love, some sex, and some money. Okay, so they need to holler at
Yeah.
Latanya, Rebirth with Latanya.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We will have it up on the screen. We will have your information, the link to the book. Can they get the book, or is this for clients only?
No. They can get the book. It's
Okay.
on Amazon.
Well, we're gonna link it. We'll link
Yeah.
it so they can find it. No
Yeah.
excuses. We'll make it easy for you. But we gotta have you back because I want to talk about your man. We gotta talk about marriage. I need to tell a little bit more about my mommy issues, but that might be a session and without the cameras rolling. So we'll talk about that. And I really want to get into the juicy conversation, just like a little bit deeper, because I think it was so important when you mentioned what intimacy really means.
Mhm.
It's not just, I'm gonna just like have sex with my man in a fancy way,
Mm-mm.
in a romantic way, but
Right.
it
I
really
love you
is
said
like
fancy way.
we're gonna get fancy tonight and be intimate, but it starts with self. And so many of us, the only conversation that we ever had around sex or intimacy or anything is like, it's bad, stay away from it, don't do it, it comes with all these consequences.
Right.
And we never have the other part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And then our lives are a reflection of us not having
Absolutely.
the other part.
Absolutely.
So I think this was healing.
Oh.
I think it was healing.
Oh.
It was. Somebody out there got a tissue right now. Somebody out there is like, look, he nodding. He was about to shed a tear. Because we don't have these conversations. There's not always a safe space to have them or even hear them being had. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You're not mad at me, are you?
No, I'm not
Okay.
mad at you at
Okay.
all.
Okay.
My toxic trait is that I'm always before time.
So you was here. Oh, okay. So you was.
No, I was here just a few minutes before time.
Okay,
but
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, next time we're gonna get it together. We're gonna give you a door code.
It's
Okay.
all right.
Y'all, was she bomb or was she bomb? Like we need some more auntie. Can I call you auntie? Will you be my auntie?
I'll be your auntie.
Okay. I don't have no aunties like you.
You don't.
I don't. Look at my face. We'll talk about it off camera. All right, y'all.
I'm gonna be your rich auntie.
Please. High five. I don't got no rich aunties either. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Another bomb episode. In the comments, though, let me know some questions that you want me to ask Latanya when she comes back, because I'm serious. She will be back. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel so that you will not miss her. And go follow her on Instagram for all of this goodness. You got to keep it going. I love y'all. I got nothing but love for you. I want nothing but love for you because you deserve it. And I'll see you on the next episode.
Yay! We watched it together, good people. Look at that. Look at that. So I hope you will add your questions, your comments, both here and on her channel, because I want to hear from you what you want to hear more about later. Some of you know what I do. Some of you pass by, but you don't really know. You're not sure. Some people have to follow me for months, some of you for years, because of all of the walls and the things that we have. But most of all, if you understand the mother wound and the way the mother wound has cut into your life, I want to celebrate women. This will not be a downer session on Saturday, May 13th. I want you to come in the room to celebrate yourself in the ways that you have had to remother yourself. And if you haven't remothered yourself, come and get some of the energy so that you can know how to remother yourself. And come into the room. May 13th. 13th is the number of the divine feminine anyway. And I don't know if you heard, but we're doing 30 days of being outrageous, delusional, and unapologetic about the law of attraction, creating our reality. And we're calling it prosperity planting. And guess what? You are the soul that's in bloom. So listen, we have things going on. You don't have to sit on the sidelines and just watch. Get involved, build community, fill your cup so that when life happens, because life will happen, you will be able to pour from your overflow into whatever is happening in your life. Let your cup run over. That's the juicy part. And guess what? We're getting ready for the juicy you, 30 days of living in your sweet spot. So get in here into the free spaces, the free processes, so that it will be a little familiar and you can ask questions and we can connect and we can build energy together. I'm already getting reports from sisters who are saying, oh my God, this process is working. Stuff is shifting. This came in, that came in, because when you begin to shift, it's a domino effect in other areas of your life. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation and that you will stay connected, subscribe to the channel, and join us for the ReMother's Day. The link is in the description below. Just go check it out. It's there. It's all there. Go read the description below. The link is there and join us. All right. I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Thank you for joining. Ciao and good night.